Heads podcast live from Pattaya, Thailand with your host Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.
And welcome to Pattaya and welcome to Thailand again. And of course, in the studio has per normal over there on the mission control at the end, Concord, should we say, Mr. Bobby. How you doing? All right?
I'm doing good.
Feeling good today?
Doing good.
It's nice and cool in here.
Round 2 for Niels.
Round 2.
We're
Ding,
ready.
ding, 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 ding. Niels Koloff, welcome to the studio once again.
Thank you very, very much, Dave. It's my pleasure to be here. Utmost pleasure.
You know, last time when we did the show, it was great. We had a lot of feedback, and I can also remember your words going out the door. Anytime you need me, I'm available. That's what you said to me.
Wasn't that a dangerous thing to say?
It was, because we chalked it on the wall and we went, right. Okay, of course, things at the moment, let's just talk about the things in hand in Thailand at the moment and sort of what's happening around Thailand. Things are changing at the moment, of course, so with the September the 26th thing, of course, where people have got to jump in there and do their visas. I mean, what's your take on this, Niels? Because, I mean, we had a Darren in yesterday, and he says they've got to jump through like 31 hoops to get somewhere. What do you think about this?
Well, first of all, I want to make a very strong appeal to all foreigners living here in Pattaya who have to do immigration matters sometime. They have to understand now it's serious. They're not going to extend this period. And so they better get their act together and get down to the immigration and whatever outstanding situation they have, get it solved now.
And each case will be looked at individually, of course.
It will, and there'll be it'll be complicated for some, for sure. And in that case, I would suggest them to go to Darren.
Yeah.
He's the guy actually I go to because he keep the finger on the pulse of everything that changes within immigration and visa rules. So I don't have to do that. It's the same as I send my car to a car repair when I don't start learning to be a mechanic myself.
Out of sight, you'd never make it as a mechanic, Niels, take it from me.
Thank you.
Acting. Let's talk about acting because, I mean, you've been on the TV here for years, of course. So we know you from Paddy People TV and Paddy People Media on the TV, interviewing people through the years. Today, it's a little bit different as it was last time, me interviewing you. And, of course, you used to being on TV, but actually, you did a bit of acting on the TV, didn't you? I mean, you was asked to do some?
Well, in Denmark, I had a film company called Denmark, and I was riding the video wave in the big way, making a lot of money. So at that time, I was in the business side of the film business, but I was acting for other companies, not my own company. So I had a little bit of experience in that. When I came to Thailand, I was given a very small part as Father Brennan, the very famous Father Brennan of Pattaya Orphanage. I was actually playing him in a film.
Oh, right, nice.
A feature film for Taimon Kun film. And a very small part, but it was interesting. And then one day I had a call from a friend of mine, police colonel at regional police. He said, a friend of mine, a police general, he has a very good friend who's a number one director of films in Thailand. He need your help to get some extras. So I had my secretary take care of getting these extras for a shot that was going to take place just near the studio here at the Nong Pru at the Sipolek boxing camp. And I used to be a partner there, actually.
Frank's place, yes?
No, actually...
Was it Frank?
No. Sidiotong, not Sipolek.
Oh,
Sidiotong.
Is that the one up near McDonald's, on the main... Yeah, is that right?
No, it's a bit in... it's near the Muslim area of the Nong
Okay,
Pru.
all right, okay.
Yeah, we built a stadium there, and the utmost trainer of Thai boxing in the world, Kuruyotong Senanan, it was his land. Him and I, we joined, and we had a Dutch guy. We had a third of the shares each, and we built the stadium. But actually, all the people living around there, they provided free labor. So it was very cheap what we did there, and they did it in respect of Kru Yotong, who was an extraordinary man. But that's another story we can talk about another day. But what happened was that they had the shot there. It was supposed to be Holland and a boxing match in Holland on a TV action series for Channel 7. And the day before, I met with the director and the police general, who later became my very, very good friend. And his son was an actor also, or is an actor. And then I talked to the director, and he said to me, "I heard that you've been acting with Simon Kunfilm." I said, "No, that was a very small part." "But you did it, huh?"
But you did it. You were still in it.
He said, "Yes, I did." He said, "You know what? You are Dr. Itan." I said, "What am I?" So what he was talking about was the last part of this action series that they already started shooting. They hadn't filled the
doctor slot.
It was a supporting role of the main actress. It was her father. And actually the story of the whole series, 13 episodes of 2 hours each on Channel 7, was about me, the Dr. Itan. And I had no clue at that time.
No clue what I'm doing.
And he said, "What do you mean, you know?" And they're, "Okay, would you like to take this part?" I said, "Yeah, why not? That's okay.
Let's have a go."
Yeah. So they called me a couple of days after, said, "You have to come to Bangkok to the Dutch embassy this and this time." I went there. I thought it was an audition. When I came there, they said, "Okay, you're on in about 1 hour." I said, "What? What am I? Do I have any lines?" "Oh yeah, you got the script, didn't you?" "No."
No.
And so I
Okay.
said, "Could you please do it after lunch and give me a little time to wander around in the park
This
here?"
is going well so
rehearse
far.
my script?
This is going well so far, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how did you do? I mean, did you learn some lines? Did you get on there?
Oh yeah, and of course you and I, you know, we get used to microphones and performing and shaking off any nerves.
Well, you have to. You have to.
That's how it is.
What about acting compared to? I mean, like compared to Europe and acting in Thailand. I mean, is there any big difference?
Oh yes.
In what way?
Especially in the soaps or in TV, the Thai director, they want the actors to overact.
In Thai, yeah?
Yes, when you act in Europe and America in the Western movies and TV series, it's much more subtle. Whereas in Thailand, you really want everyone to understand what is a character. So you have to overact. It's very strange, you know.
I've watched Thai movies and I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, you know, I've never seen anybody die for 17 minutes. It's like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I remember seeing Robert De Niro talking. He says when he was like not so old, everybody used to give him all the young parts. You remember that? And now we're getting older, of course. Niels, we only get offered the old parts, with the doctor parts and the dad parts. Yeah.
So anyway, the first scene was in the Dutch embassy. I am this Dutch doctor who's come to Thailand, fled Amsterdam, and come to Thailand because I'm hunted by the international crime syndicates, the CIAs, and all the intelligence agencies. They all want the better of me because I have invented a virus. You know, we talk about COVID. It was actually the story of COVID we're talking about, and this is 3-4 years ago.
Wow!
So it's quite significant. But anyhow, I'd done that as a scientist, and then so-called friends of mine want to get hold of this to sell it to the superpowers as a chemical weapon. And when I find out, I said, "No way! I'm going to destroy this virus. It's never going to come in the hands of anyone. I don't care about the money. I don't care about anything." And so they want to kill me. They want to get this knowledge out of me, and they want to kill me. So I'm a hunted man, and I go to the Dutch embassy in Bangkok to meet a friend and ask for him to help me to get protection from the police and so on. And he's afraid about it, and he dismissed me. But then after the acting, my wife, she's been standing there in distance and watching what happened. And when I come over, she has a very, very serious look on her face. And I thought, wow, I thought I did good, you know, so why is she looking so damn serious, you know? And she said, "You know what? You're very good at that. Now in the future, I don't believe a word you say to me."
Where have you been? I've really been to the supermarket. I can understand. But how is that? I mean, you know, just taking a little bit of what you've just said, that you had this virus and you wanted to destroy it. You weren't interested in the money. I mean, how significant, Bobby, would that be today? I mean, today they're going
prophetic movie there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's. I mean, what would you? I mean, do you like acting? Do you like it?
I enjoyed it very much, and I liked the whole atmosphere. You know, it's so different from Europe. In Europe, you come and do your lines, and you go home, and you know, you get your money, and that's the reason you do it. You do it for the money. Here, as we know, Thais, they don't have a job if they not enjoy it. So there's a lot of enjoyment in the element of acting here in Thailand. And when you come there, there's a huge canteen tent.
Yeah.
Because Thais, they like to eat, so you eat all the time. And you have a fantastic camaraderie with everyone, including the people who take care of the sound and the lighting and so on. Everyone is equal. All the superstars you see on TV and movies in Thailand, they're very polite to everyone else. So it's a very,
like
very
a
nice.
family. It's a family.
It's a wonderful family atmosphere, except for the director. He was a. Yeah, I don't want to
go for it. Go for it. We do it. We do it on here, don't we?
We do go for it.
We do go for it. You can say it.
He's probably one of the most famous directors in Thailand, and very, very respected. But the language he conducts, you know, is terrible. The words he was swearing at everyone and so on, and everyone, you know, they were so respectful to him, so he could say whatever he wanted. But he was really terrible. The only thing I would say is that me as a foreigner there in the series and introduced by this police general, he was giving me a lot more respect
than the others,
and he was very nice and respectful to me. And he never wanted to come and talk about my part. He left it to the deputy director, which became my very good friend, and we had a fantastic way, you know, because this overacting thing and other things that is significant to the way that they do acting in Thailand was something new for me, but it didn't take me long to get it. So, but talking to this deputy or assistant director was very, very good, and we had a fantastic teamwork, and he made me do great performance. I think a lot of credit to him for that.
If there was a big pile of money on the table now, just a big pile of money, and I said to you, you can make any movie you want about anything you want, what would you make? What do you think?
Well, actually, after this series, which was 13 episodes of 2 hours and on Channel 7, which is not the number one channel now, it's number 3, I had an approach through an agent from Channel 3 and was given, offered a big role in a series about a royal family. I don't know if there was a Thai royal family, but it was a kind of fiction. Of course, and it was very. I saw it after. It was fantastically made, and I felt bad that I wasn't on it. But what happened was that I got cancer.
Yes,
and I just had the diagnosis that I had cancer, and I didn't know if I was going to die or what, you know. So and the agent there was calling me, and I didn't know to call back or do anything. It was, and the agent got pretty angry.
Can we talk about the hospital and the cancer? Is that okay for a second?
Oh, no problem.
About when we went. I mean, I came to visit you, as you know, and so
yes, I remember very well.
And so did a lot of people, and I mean, it was. It's just one of those. It's one of those things that people who have not been in that situation, to see a good friend laying in a bed, in the state that you're in, is just, it's heart wrenching. You know, because we've known each other a long time, and it was heart wrenching. But I mean, what was your uptake at the end? I mean, you know, from the day you found out about it and the process going through it. I mean, how did that affect you knowing that? I mean, what was your process in your head? How did you deal with it?
Yeah, well, I disappointed the doctors very much because they wanted me to be depressed and scared and all that. But my father, he always said there's something wrong. There's a lack of intelligence in you because you're never afraid for anything. And really, honestly, in my life, I never had any fear for anything. And the last thing I fear is dying. We all have to die.
Of course.
So it doesn't care. I lived by the day. Of course, I plan. But I will never be afraid of dying. I think that's the most unintelligent and stupid attitude to have. So I didn't feel like that. I just took everything as it came. And it was very heartwarming to have a visit from you, of course,
and lots of other people, of course.
And it was like a train station there, though.
Yeah,
there were people that I didn't know that came to see me, and that was very, very nice.
I think that's the touching bit, isn't it? You don't realise the people that do know you and do actually care about you, and then suddenly turn up in your room and say, "How are you?" And that's the touching part. Yes.
Yes, and of course it's situations like that where you say you know your friends, but it's not only that. Every single visit is in my subconscious mind, and
Same.
it's something that I will always cherish these people. It's very, very nice of them, and for other people, if you have the chance to go and visit anyone who is in distress, it doesn't have to be the hospital, it can be the other situations.
Absolutely.
Please do it.
Yeah.
Because it means a lot to other people.
And it costs nothing.
Costs nothing.
It costs nothing to go and see somebody.
That's true.
Did it change your perspective on life?
No.
Not at all.
Not at all. It was just a bump in the road. And when I finished the operation, they wanted to make after treatments with chemo and other things. And I said to them, that's it, you done your job. Now I'm off, because I think that I get ill from being in hospitals. So I want to get out of here, and I need to. I lost weight a lot because just laying in the bed with all these tubes and things. So I wanted out and get on with sports. And
I can always remember the doctor's last words: "Niels, take your time, slow down." Whoa, boy!
Yeah,
Because you was like a racehorse, aren't you?
Yeah,
I mean, you got to admit it.
It's not my style, you know. So I went straight on, and I'm back and very fit. And
But you have toned it down a bit, haven't you?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, and I actually, it's funny enough, we talked about it here about the COVID.
Yeah.
When the COVID came in, you know, we thought now everything is going down in slow motion mode. Huh? But I haven't been as busy as I've been after the COVID. You know, my wife and I, we got involved in many new things, and we turned the ship around, and we're making more money now than before.
I think you have to, Niels. I think there's two ways you can go. Like you say, you can sit in a corner and cry about it, or you can get out there and put your shoes on and knock on doors and say, we're here and what can we do, and survive. Because it is, for a lot of people at the moment, and the 24 million people in Thailand that are now unemployed extra to what was there before, it is survival mode. It doesn't matter what people say. So you have to look at alternatives. Yeah. You know, so I think that
it's
you have
true,
to adapt.
but I'm a sportman and football player all my life. I know that attack is the best defense.
Absolutely.
So that was that was the plan. I took 1 week off, thinking about the COVID problems and the business problems, and then I made a plan and I went head on with it, and we're doing very well now.
What about like when it's you do the sports day down at John Thiem, you do the football, each year? I mean, what month is that in?
It's it's normally around the high season. Used to be in December, then it was changed to February, January. Actually, the City Hall called me the other day and said, are we going to do it now? And I said, I don't think so, because the teams are not able to come in. And we can't have professional players, because half of the teams now are full professional teams.
Yeah, it's great.
It's very high standard.
I mean, I've been here 15, so I mean, I can remember.
It's 13 times we've done it.
Yeah, I can remember when you first did it, and I can remember what it was grown to the last time. I mean, you know, and it's got more competitive as well, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, about the 12 teams we have, half of them they're full professionals, like the French team, the Dutch team, the Norwegian team, and so on. Even the Thai national team was playing last year, the real national beach football team, and they were really good.
Some things that I put a couple of things down. I just want to sort of throw them at you, if that's okay. I mean, it says that the Danish people are very punctual on meetings, and they always like to be spot on time for their dinner. Would you agree with that?
It's true, actually, yeah. And it's difficult to be a Dane in Thailand, because sometimes if you go to a Thai function and you are on time, it's a bit of an insult because people, they may maybe not ready on time. So it's more polite to kind of come a little bit late.
What I can't understand in Thailand, and a lot of them get wrong, of course, is when you go in and you sit down and you have a meal, and there's 4 people, and they'll bring somebody's meal. Yeah, and the other 3 have to wait for another 20 minutes for their meal. You know, I mean, is it not right that everybody has to eat together? Because by the time yours come, he's finished and he's on his dessert and you're just starting. I just find that a little bit, you know, being like you are. I mean, you're from Denmark, so you know what I'm talking about. And I was in Norway, so you know exactly where I'm coming from. I just find it so annoying.
Well, it's very easy to explain, actually, because, you know, the way that we have a meal, we have we said 4 people, and we have 4 starters, and we have 4 main, and we have 4 desserts. Now, in Thailand, you get a couple of dishes on the table, and everyone share. And then another couple of dishes are ready from the kitchen. They come in, and everyone share. And you keep on. And if you're a guest in a house, you don't know what you're going to have. So it's a nice experience, and now it's a surprise too, you know. And the host will bring a lot of food, and you know, many interesting dishes. And the more they respect you, the more expensive or nice dishes they will bring. So it's another kind of structure of the way that you eat. You eat together. You share the dishes as they come in, whereas we have our separate
separate things.
Exactly.
One of the things, of course, that is pretty famous in you'll have to help me here. In Denmark, of course, is Vienna bread.
Yes.
Is that right? Can you say the Danish word for it?
Well, in English it's called Danish pastry.
And the other one I think I've got down here, tell me if I'm wrong, is wienerbrød.
Yeah, wienerbrød is Danish pastry.
Is that what it means?
Yeah, in Danish it's pronounced wienerbrød.
I think
it means it's something that came out of Vienna, which is probably the cafe capital of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One thing that absolutely astounds me about Denmark, I took it back just to have a quick look at figures and things before we came on. 1950 in Denmark, there was 4.2 million people lived in Denmark. 50 years later, there's only 5.7. So that's 1.3 in Denmark, yeah? To give you an idea on that, in America at the moment, there's 331 million people living in America, which is it's incredible. But I mean, the one thing I liked about Denmark is A, the food, B, the people, and also you're never more than 50 kilometers away from the sea, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's a nice tradition. What was your tradition when you was younger? I mean, what was one of the things that you remember that you had to do? You had National Day there as well, didn't you?
Yes, but I think the most important day of the year as a kid, of course, is Christmas. And Christmas in Denmark is extraordinary.
24th in Denmark?
24th, yes. Yeah, Christmas Eve, like North Europe. South Europe is, and England is 25th.
25th in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never got used to that. You know, when I first lived in Denmark, she went, "Oh, it's Christmas tomorrow." I went, "No, that's 24th." She said, "No, it's Christmas."
And I was living north of Copenhagen. We were having a very traditional Christmas with a lot of snow at that time, and we were going on with a horse-driven sled in the forest.
Interesting.
Very, very nice. Very romantic.
Was that the old wooden?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And we had the of course, the food is very essential in Denmark. And my mother and her 2 sisters, they were fantastic cooks.
I was also amazed. I was introduced to 2 things in Norway that I like. One was gløgg.
Yes,
gløgg, which is the warm
it's a warm red wine with cinnamon and some sweets inside.
Yeah, I found that great. And I don't know if you have it in Denmark. Was labskaus.
Yeah. It's
which they say is the poor man's banquet. Yeah, is that right?
You can say that. It's bits of meats with potatoes and so on together. Yeah, but the gløgg is actually, you find it in Central Europe, in Austria and so on. It's called glühwein.
Glühwein.
Yeah, it's very similar to that.
So I mean, things that you used to do in Denmark. I mean, you know, all those years ago. I mean, we was talking to Matthew Kelly the other day. He was on the show, and we were talking
wonderful man.
He's a great guy, and he's like a Wikipedia. I mean, you know, it's just I can listen to him all day. But one thing that struck me, and you'd probably connect with this, and that is he went to New Orleans Yeah, and in New Orleans, he was there playing his music, and he was there with no money, just walking up and down the streets and finding things to do. He was one of the only white guys there in New Orleans, but he was taken into the community. And what did he say, Bobby? He was playing, and who was at the side of him? Little Richard?
Fats Domino.
Fats Domino.
Okay.
Fats Domino was.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's playing, and at the side of him is Fats Domino.
Yeah.
I mean, what about when you was in Denmark? I mean,
I got my drill.
yeah, on Blueberry Hill would make it. That's it.
Yeah.
Bookers. Can you book us? Come on, get the contract out. It's the new Beverly Sisters here.
That's it.
You're signed.
What about in your day? What about some of the bands, the groups that came over there? Because you was involved with bands and groups in Denmark. What about the ones that you were sort of in awe of? You know, like when they came over, you went, oh, you know, that is so and so.
Well, Danish people, we're not really in awe for anything. You know that. We're very down to earth.
I was trying to build it up for you.
But anyhow, it was a wild time in Copenhagen. It was really the wild time. There was all these discotheques, there were all the live music places, and all the discotheques and live music places, they had a key club. So there was one place really for the in crowd.
Key club.
Yeah, a small club where only selected people could get
So
into.
like a VIP.
Very VIP.
Very, very VIP.
And we had all these superstars, especially from England, the Rolling Stones, Pink Floyd, and all these bands. They came to Copenhagen because the Danish people were so laid back, you know, that they could walk in the walking street or anywhere, you know, nobody would chase them for our autographs or anything like that. Very laid back, and they enjoyed really this, and of course they liked Scandinavian girls.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
So and you know, we had a very liberal kind of wave at that time.
What
be
year are we
diplomatic.
talking? What year is this?
year?
The end 60s, 70s, huh?
The end of the 60s into the 70s.
Yeah, about that.
Good time, yeah.
Didn't Jimi Hendrix play in Copenhagen?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And he had a Swedish girlfriend
Wow.
also. Yeah.
Did you see some of those shows?
No, I never met Jimi Hendrix, but I met many other, Carlos Santana, and
All right.
It's good when you say
who
that, Jimmy.
played with him, and Buddy Miles, who also played with Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
And so many of them. And at the time, I had a company called Circle Promotion. We were doing personal management of some of the rock bands, and you know, that job for me as a personal manager of some of these bands, it means that you have to take care of their private life more than the business side.
I heard Buddy Miles was a handful.
He was great, a big fat guy, you know, with a very tiny voice but good one, drummer actually, and he was with me for 48 hours. We didn't sleep. We just partied for 48 hours, and then he went to the concert. And in the concert, he told the organizers, it was in Imperial Cinema. He said, the first row, I have all my friends. The middle section, first row, is for my friends. I said, there's the most expensive tickets they already sold, of course. It was a full house. I said, okay, I'm not going to go on stage before my friends. They're sitting down. So he sat me and the rest of us on the first row there. And then he made a show.
Wow.
Sweet.
And, he was fantastic. He was fantastic.
I mean, we were talking to Matthew, weren't we? We were saying, you know, in the old days, like, you know, and the acts that went on there, just how good or how in awe I was of him being there and the atmosphere and what it must have been like. It's easy to talk about it today, but of course then it must have been just an everyday thing. But now when you look back on it, Niels, I mean, it's just a pleasure, no?
I had an apartment of 7-room apartment at the end of the lakes in Copenhagen, Østerbro. And all these superstars from all these bands, they were crashing out there. So it was like
Crazy times.
Yeah, people were just they just lived there, and they had suites and hotels, but they just went there. We stayed at my apartment.
What about festivals in Denmark at that time? Was there any kind of concerts, outdoor concerts or anything going on in those times?
Not really at that time. At the time I went into the film business, there was all this, and I never really felt like it. I thought all this mud and all that, it was too much like a scout camp for me. So I'm a luxury guy.
What's in UK? UK is Nebworth, isn't it? Nebworth in UK, is it?
Not sure. Oh, the festival.
Yeah, festival.
Yeah, you just mentioned that.
Nebworth, and in America, it's Woodstock. That was it.
Woodstock was fantastic,
Woodstock.
of course. But let me put it straight. At the time, there were hippies and there were rockers. I was a rocker. I was not a hippie.
So you're into the real heavy stuff, yeah?
Not really like that, you know. I would drive big American cars. You know, half of my friends, they would drive motorbikes. Half of them were big American cars. I like the American cars. I always like four wheels.
I rolled into Holbeck, in a Corvette Stingray, a yellow one.
Nice.
It was like a budgerigard flying into this crowd. It just stood out. Yeah. And, but it was like a magnet, to the girls there. Take a sip of coffee. Let's just have a quick couple of seconds and join us in 2 seconds.
Talking Heads podcast live from Pattaya, Thailand, with your host Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.
Welcome back to the studio. And in the studio, of course, Niels Karloff for his second portion of Talking Heads podcast. Welcome back, Niels. Enjoying it so far? How's the ride?
Great coffee.
Forget the chat, but the coffee's great. One thing I did find out that I thought was very, very touching, of course, Denmark actually gives away each year 16 billion Danish krona, to the UN for aid every year. It's 0.7%.
What does that equal to in US dollars or pounds? Or
Well, if you say 10, if you say 10,
it's a lot, and there's some resentment actually in Denmark because we want to be so good in on the international, or the politicians want to have a lot of face. But there's a lot of people in Denmark that actually are suffering, especially old people.
Which I don't understand if there's only five
pensions hasn't gone up for many years.
UK same.
And there are people who have the minimum pension. They're eating cat food because they can't afford to buy good food. So that's not nice.
So okay, Niels, let's go there. Where is the balance? And in UK is the same thing, right? How can Denmark give away 16 billion Danish kroner and not take care of its own first?
It's disgusting, and it's unfortunately that's how it is. And my father, he always said, "You get a government that you deserve." And in Denmark, we have some terrible politicians running the country.
Well, UK is the same.
And of course, it's probably the same everywhere. They're professional liars. Isn't that
well,
what
they
are.
They are. I mean, we spoke here the other day. I mean, in Parliament over in the UK, they're on £300 a day for sitting in Parliament, just listen to some guy waffle on, and when you look at him on the TV, half of them are asleep. So it's crazy. I mean, how they can give away all these things.
I have a big disdain for politicians, and it was put into me by my grandfather. He was one of the foundation of the Danish society. He was a Supreme Court judge. And actually the first Supreme Court judge in Danish history who said no thank you to become the president of the Supreme Court, because he wanted to be the first Dane in the International Court in Den Haag. He was a very level-headed guy, I was very close to him. He was a good guy. He came from a low-income family. My grand-grandfather was a baker, and they didn't have money. He got a scholarship, and he went to the pinnacle of the law system in Denmark. And one time we had a very crucial election in Denmark, and I was asking my grandfather, "What are you gonna vote?" I said, "Niels, I don't vote." I said, "Grandfather, you're one of the pillars of our society. You have to exercise your fundamental right as an example for all of us to vote." I said, "No, Niels, I have been too close to politicians in my life to respect them enough to give them my vote." And
it's correct.
And that really made such an impression on me that I always had a very negative attitude towards politicians.
Well, I think we're probably on this in this room. I think we're all on the same table, aren't we? Because we all think the same there. I mean, it's just,
and it's a problem for Denmark because the people of Denmark, they are very quiet people. The quiet majority is very big, and they accept everything. And this is sad. I hope that I would have liked the Danish to have a little bit more fire in the belly and object to all these things, because the policy of the country is not good.
Do you think sometimes people are just of the opinion that if they stood up and said something on their own, that it doesn't really count. You know, they just think, oh, if I say something, they're not going to listen to me. You know, that kind of attitude. But if you've got 10 people, then 100 people, then 1,000, then 1,000,000 people saying the same thing, at some point or another, somebody's going to listen.
Yeah, but it's not the Danish attitude. We say there won't be a revolution in Denmark on a rainy day.
The Danish flag is the oldest flag in the world. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Did you know that?
Yes, I know.
Absolutely, 1219.
You've
know
been
where it
doing
came
your
from?
homework.
I have to do my own. When he's on, I have to do my own work.
Do you know how we got the flag?
No, I don't.
Wow. We were in the Baltic countries. We were fighting wars there. And in one of the Baltic countries, I think it was Estonia actually, they were the Danish army with the Danish king were losing. And then suddenly a flag fell down from the sky. And it re-energized the Danish army.
Fighters, yeah.
And they thought it was a sign from the gods. And they were fighting back, and they were winning the battle, and they brought the flag back to Denmark, and that was...
Valdemar, yeah, is that right? King Valdemar.
Yes, that's correct.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
1219 there, Bubby. 1219, eh?
That's some history.
But I mean, that's a good story though. That the flag fell down and then
Yeah.
give them spurred them on to do something.
Yeah.
One thing you do like, and I know you're going to be.
It's a beautiful flag, though. Huh?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. One thing that you're going to be sort of interested in, and I'm sure you know this anyway, which I did not know: handball was invented in Denmark.
That's correct.
I never knew that.
I thought it was invented in New York. Come on.
Get out! You're only because you're from.
And,
These Americans get everywhere, don't
The
they?
guy who invented it, his name was Lundberg. He was a medical doctor. He was significantly on the Danish national handball team and the Danish football national team at the same time.
1897.
Okay, then somebody else came before him. But maybe he's the one who promoted it.
He's the one that promoted it and
Yeah,
came
yeah.
on and pushed it after. I mean,
Yeah.
if you go back to 87, it was a long, long time ago. But since then, of course, Denmark has been known for handball.
Oh yeah, they've been world champions and European champions. They're very good.
What do you watch closely when it comes to sport?
I love handball, but we don't see it on television down here. But I love to see it. It's it's very exciting. But of course, football is very close to my heart.
And of course, one thing that Denmark is very famous for, that about blew my mouth to pieces when somebody gave it me in Copenhagen, was your salty licorice.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love it.
Yeah, you love it. I just come over from somewhere and somebody said, take one of these. I just thought it was normal licorice because I love licorice.
Yeah,
And I just put it in my mouth.
We have a sweet version and we have a salty version.
Oh, it's a salty version I had. Yeah, you like that, yeah?
Oh yeah. And now you can get it here in Pattaya.
Yeah?
In Friendship Supermarket, they sell it.
Wow.
Yeah. Haribo, a German company making Danish licorice.
Yeah, work that one out. And of course, you're also famous for Hans Christian Andersen, yes? Over in Denmark, which is the storytelling, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. He made stories for children, and they're all written for us adults to learn a little bit about ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, before we go on and carry on talking, one of the most famous things in the world that every kid has played with at some time or another is Lego.
Oh yeah, and now Lego is going to change.
Lego is massive.
Have you heard that?
Huh?
You know, they want to be environmentally correct. So Lego, all these Lego puzzles, they are made of plastic.
Yes.
They're going to change that.
Wow.
They're going to invest
Okay.
billions in changing it into other materials.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah. Very interesting.
That's interesting because I watched a program on Lego when they built the new Lego house, over in Denmark, and how they did inside and the things they were coming up with and how they put things together. It's literally mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Then they give them to these kids and see how long it takes. But the actual logistics of Lego is just unbelievable.
It is good, and I think it's the significance really is that it enhances the creativity of children at a very young age, and I think this is very important. You know, we have so much streamlined attitude in everything in the world today. we need strong individuals. We need creativity, and that's where we should focus on our children. And Lego helps a lot with that.
Lego is very. Was it therapeutic? Sorry, I put teeth in that. I put the teeth in wrong today. Of course, also over in Denmark, which I found these are just facts that I wanted to sort of throw at you today to see if you agree or disagree. It says here the Danish always wait for green lights, to cross the road, even
Even in Pattaya?
even when there's no traffic around. Would you agree with that?
Oh yes, Danish people follow the law. They're very, they accept the law and they follow it.
And that they do actually.
They should bring that law into Pattaya. The red light running here is just out of control.
I can remember. You remember when they spent all those millions of baht on Beach Road? They put in the crossroads and they put in the red lights and the counting over the top, the clock counting down. I mean, everybody just thought it was like a speedway. They were waiting for the. It wasn't to stop; it was to go. It was like nobody took any notice, did they?
It comes down to law enforcement.
Yeah, but I mean,
I think that's a problem.
Yeah, and there's no education to people what it was.
Well, if there was law enforcement, that education would come quickly.
What about seeing the future in Pattaya and the way it's going? I mean, the things that are happening now. Bali is supposed to be happening now with 2.9 billion baht being built down there. Can you see that happening?
Oh yes, I have great confidence in the present mayor, Sontayagun Plum.
Yeah.
He has a lot of power. He has a lot of influence. He has a lot of connections. He's a leader of a political party. He used to be a minister of 3 ministries before. He has a lot of a possibility to bring money to Pattaya for infrastructural projects, and he's doing it right now. A lot is going on.
I was going to say
that people they probably don't realize.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say to you. If you actually drive around Pattaya at the moment, you'll see a lot of constructions going on and a lot of cleaning up being done. I mean, they're taking this time of this sort of like low time at the moment to sort of start brushing things aside. Wouldn't you agree on that?
Oh yes, indeed. It's very exciting. If people really knew what's going on, they would have a very positive belief for the future of Pattaya.
Because the motorway's open now, isn't it, as well? The new one, the bypass. That's open now? Is it, Bobby? The bypass?
Yes, it's open.
It's open now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's open.
So I mean, it's.
But more is coming.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah, you can tell me anything. It's a secret. Nobody's going to know.
Can I break some crazy news?
Hang on, you want to break some news?
Yeah.
So we give them a build-up.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Hang on, building.
Talking Heads podcast live from Pattaya, Thailand.
Breaking news.
Host Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the
There you go, just for you. All right. Breaking news.
This is breaking news,
Okay.
and this is not.
Go for it.
This is something really, really big, gentlemen.
My lips are.
When we talk about the bypass,
Yes.
the motorway bypass, one of the big reasons is that Disneyland is gonna come to Pattaya.
Wow.
That is wow.
Wow.
And I know the location. I'll tell you that too. The location will be where the Alangan was before. You remember the Alangan Theatre? It's on the left-hand side before you get out to Ambassador City on Sukhumvit Road.
Yes, got you. Yep.
Yeah, that's where Disneyland is going to come.
Wow.
That's pretty huge.
That's pretty huge.
It's going to be enormous for Thailand. It's going to be for
enormous.
Pattaya too,
Yeah.
of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you think they can...
So you were the first media to break it here in
No, you're the first
Pattaya.
media to break it there.
Well, I didn't break it on my own media.
No, but we can do it like, today this is a joint effort.
Okay, you can call it what it is, but I'll give the credit to Pattaya One.
We do this on a 50-50 basis. How's that? No, that is really interesting. But I mean, how if they bring something like here, Disneyland, of course, one is they've got the bypass in place for that, and cleaning Pattaya up, so to speak. Yeah. Do you think that they're gonna? We spoke about this the other day on the show. Do you think that they're gonna start Amsterdam in it? If you get that, you're putting stuff in its place, in its pigeonhole. Do you think that will happen in Pattaya, or do you still see it spread?
I don't know. I don't know about the details and the impact and all that. I can imagine, but of course I know it's huge, and should probably ask me, how do you know?
How do you know, Niels?
Yeah. And it was by coincidence that I talked to some of the people who were involved in this, and I got the details about the agreement and so on.
It makes sense because, I mean, if you think about it in a way, I mean, I haven't got a clue how many rooms are in Pattaya. Do you know that? Rooms to rent or whatever in Pattaya?
About 100,000.
Yeah, so whatever, 100,000.
And
I mean,
that
that's
is
pretty cool.
nearly equivalent to Bangkok.
But when you put it into perspective, going to there's one it's in Hong Kong, is it, Bobby? Disneyland Hong Kong, yes.
I'm not sure.
Which is mega expensive.
Yeah, Hong Kong.
Yeah, Hong Kong.
I've
yeah.
been there.
It's mega expensive. So in perspective, Thailand having a Disney World and the accommodation and being where it's going to be makes pretty good sense because you've got Utah, which is going to take the international flights, yeah.
Yeah, and think about everything that is going on in this area. Everything start to get into understanding that everything fits together. Like Utapao, how much billions has been put in there, and what about the last announcement from the government that they're going to put even more in the area, and the motorway and all that,
And want to extend Utapao.
So when I mentioned Disneyland, then everything falls in place, doesn't it? Now the last thing that we don't know about, and I don't know about, but I can imagine, is that gambling is going to be a part of that area too.
I think it will come in. I really do.
In that area.
Yeah, I think that it will come in. I think it's one of those. It's inevitable. It's inevitable.
So if you have a lot of money for investment, if you're a smart banker, invest south of Pattaya. South of Pattaya. That's where the big growth of property will be.
What do you think? What do you think about gambling in Thailand?
Personally, I don't like gambling. I never gamble in my life. I never bought a lottery ticket. I'm not into that. The only thing I would get closest to would be a kind of a charity lottery ticket.
But that's your personal
that's
view.
That's my
yes?
personal view.
But as an economy to bring money and revenue into Thailand, don't you think that would be tremendous? Or do you think that it would have a Cambodia effect? Was it Cambodia? Vietnam? Cambodia, where all the Chinese went and now they just shut everything.
Well, there's 3 companies in the world that control gambling, and they will come into play here. Obviously, also in Thailand, it won't be the Thais controlling it at the end of the day, because these companies, this is the polarization you see in business all over the world, which is not something I like, but that's how it is. I don't know about the social aspects. I think that's where we should look at the negatives. The positives is that a lot of money is going out of Thailand to Cambodia and other places. It will stay in Thailand. The impact on Pattaya. Are the money going to stay in the casinos and the gambling places and not going to the benefit of the rest of the city?
But wouldn't it be
but
like...
of course, employment.
You got employment, which is one thing that's going to be a factor, and that's going to boost the economy. But 2, wouldn't it be fair if they could come up with something like to say you could do the gambling, it's not a problem, you can build your place, but X amount of % is put back into Pattaya? So, in other words, you can't take all the gambling money and just take it away. A percentage of something has to be donated to the city itself to improve the city. I mean, if they came up with something like that, that'd be pretty good. One of the things that we heard about the gambling law in Thailand is that the foreigners can gamble. That's not a problem. They can go in the casinos, they can gamble. But the Thai people had to have a card and they had to be vetted to make sure that they don't go in and spend all their money and give all their houses and land away, because some things happen like that. You know what it's like with the World Cup. Everybody.
If we look at Philippines and look at the model they have there and how they try to protect the society and the vulnerable in the society, there might be something to learn from the Thai authorities there in their experiences. But it's a tricky affair, and it's not for the old king. He was the stumbling block for this to happen in a good way, I think.
Sure.
But I don't know. It's hard for me to have a positive opinion about it. So I'm really the wrong guy to talk to about it.
Yeah.
But because I'll be biased thinking like that.
Absolutely.
But on the other hand, I'm also a liberal person. I think that everyone should have freedom to do whatever they want. Like for instance, we had a talk in Denmark before, long time about drugs, and part of Europe was giving drugs, opening up the freedom with that, And my opinion was, I said, give it free and let people decide if they want to die or live. Up to them. And then the side effect, the positive side effect, is that you take away the opportunity for criminal people to make money on it, to other people, on other people's misery. But so I believe that freedom has to be maximum. I don't believe in control from governments and so on. I think that people, I have a big belief in people understanding good and bad and make right decisions. So I believe that freedom is the right thing, and it goes for gambling too.
Where do you see Pattaya going? I mean, do you see it in the short term opening back up? Do you see it long term? I mean, what's your opinion on when we sort of might get back to some normality here? What's your take on that?
I have a feeling that a lot of this COVID period is very much guided by political interests. And this is very sad, because it means that the victims are the ordinary people for no reason. And we obey the law, we obey the leaders and so on, and we're probably being misled.
Who's leading the leaders?
Yeah,
we spoke about it, didn't we, Bobby?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a big a follower of all this, and I mean, he said himself, didn't you, Bobby?
Well, Bill Gates wrote a check to Tedros, and that's after the check was written is when he considered classified COVID as a pandemic. Before that, he didn't want to do it, but Bill Gates wrote him the fat check, and that's when they said, okay, the WHO said, okay, it's officially a pandemic, which got all the governments in place all around the world.
I think a lot of people who are very rich in the world today, they have blood on their hands because of this situation.
Absolutely,
and they have to live with a bad karma for their future and their family, which they should be very afraid of.
A lot of them haven't got consciences, Neil.
Well, it doesn't matter. Karma will come to them anyway.
Hopefully. Have you enjoyed it today?
Very much.
Good. It's always nice to get you in here and talk and just come up with different things, isn't it? It's always good just to be around the table, and hopefully we'll be back again with some more things. Yeah.
I love your stories, and I really the first time we met, I really learned a lot about Pattaya that I never knew, and your stories of coming down from Bangkok and taking so long to get down.
We had some nice messages, didn't we?
I love it. Yeah,
we had some nice messages.
And I think the most important thing I can say is that Pattaya is the best city on earth.
Wow.
Good and bad. Bottom line, best city on earth.
It's your home. It's your home. It's my home.
It is indeed.
It's our home. And that's our home today. It's been good, yeah?
Thank you, Dave.
Our living room has been
Thank
your
you,
living
Niels.
room, Niels. Thanks a lot, yeah? From you, Niels, say goodbye. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. It's my pleasure to be here, and I look forward to having these roundtable discussions in the future.
Roundtable discussions. I like that, Bobby. Let's go with that. Thanks, Niels. It's been great, yeah? Okay. Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Talking Heads podcast live from Pattaya, Thailand, with your host, Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.